The sky over Yevaren 6 was blue only a few hours ago. Now it was fire. Buildings collapsed. Smoke rose like mountains. People screamed and ran in every direction, trying to escape the sound of metal claws and screaming war beasts. Commander Varric stood on a shattered balcony, his eyes wide with horror. Below, the city burned. He touched the small silver disc on his wrist. "How did they find us?" he whispered. "We never harmed anyone." A young officer, bleeding from his leg, ran up to him. "Commander, the Drekker forces are inside the Capitol dome. Defense lines have fallen. The palace..." Varric looked toward the shattered skyline. The Drekker were not like them. Yevaren people were artists, thinkers, dreamers. The Drekker were hunters, slavers, killers. They came from a world of poison and war. No kindness lived in their hearts. The officer begged, "We must send a signal. Anyone, someone, please." Varric didn't answer. His eyes were locked on a burning transport ship falling from the sky. Then he turned to who? Who out there would help a dying world like ours? The officer stared at him. "Does it matter? If we do nothing, we die alone." Varric took a deep breath. He opened the ancient console in the wall. Power flickered. Sparks danced on the screen. He had no time to think, no time to plan. He recorded a short message and sent it into deep space. His voice trembled. "To any species who still cares, this is Yevaren 6. We are under attack. Our people are dying. Please help us. If you have mercy, come. If you have power, bring it. If you have justice, we beg for it." Then he shut the console and sat on the floor, watching the sky fall hundreds of light years away. In a dark control room orbiting a dead planet, a woman with cold gray eyes listened to the signal. She didn't blink. Her face was quiet. "Still replay it," she ordered. The message played again. A tall soldier behind her asked, "What do we do, Admiral?" She stood slowly and turned toward the window, where a massive Terran warfleet hung. In silence, her voice was calm. "Someone is hurting the helpless." She narrowed her eyes. "Prep the fleet. Deathworlders are moving." The Terran dreadnought, Black Phoenix, turned toward the stars like a great sword. Behind it, 5 battle fleets followed. Thousands of ships, millions of weapons. No banners, no songs, just silence. Earth did not come to make friends. Earth came for war. Aboard the lead ship, Admiral Reyna checked the signal again. Coordinates confirmed. Yevaren 6 was under attack by Drekker forces, slavers, raiders, known criminals, set full war mode. She said Captain Juno, her second-in-command, hesitated. "No mercy protocols." Reyna glanced at her. "Did the Drekker show mercy?" "No." "MAAM, then Earth won't either." The warfleet tore through the blackness of space. Back on Yevaren 6, Commander Varric sat in a ruined hallway. His message was gone now, flying through space. But nothing had changed. His people were dying. Children cried in the shadows. Fires ate everything. He heard heavy footsteps. Drekker soldiers, their armor clanked like bones. He grabbed a broken staff. It was all he had left. The enemy appeared, 6 of them, laughing. The proud Yevaren commander, hiding in a museum. "I'll die standing," Varric said. "You'll die broken, the Drekker." Spat. Then the floor shook. Not from explosions, not from falling buildings, but from above. A sound roared in the sky, a deep, unnatural hum, the kind of sound that made even killers freeze. The Drekker turned and looked up. So did Varric. The clouds split apart, and out of the sky came death. Terran warship broke through the atmosphere, black and wide as a mountain. Red lights burned along its hull. It did not slow down. It moved like it owned the sky. And then it fired white-hot beams, sliced the Drekker landing sites. Buildings vaporized. Drekker ships exploded like paper. The ground shook as energy weapons struck the slaver camps. Commander Varric dropped his staff. His voice cracked. They came. The Drekker who had mocked him screamed into his coms. "Unknown warship, heavy class. We are under attack." But it was too late. Another ship appeared. Then another. Hundreds, from orbit to ground. The Deathworlders came like judgment. Admiral Reyna stood on the bridge, calm as always, targets locked. She asked. "All Drekker ships confirmed, Admiral," her officer replied. "No civilians in range." "Good," she said. "Burn." Them laser storms rained from above. Missiles streaked through the air. Drekker forces tried to flee, but every escape route was blocked. Terran troops landed in armored dropships. They moved fast, brutal, and silent. Not one word, just war. Reyna watched the battlefield on the screen. She leaned forward and spoke into the planetary com. "This is Admiral Reyna of Earth's War Command. To the Drekker, you have harmed the helpless. You have sold the weak. You have brought pain." She paused. "Now Earth brings pain to you." The battle lasted only hours. The Drekker fleet was gone. Their ground forces crushed. Their bases turned to dust. Commander Virik stood among the ruins. Around him, Terran soldiers helped his people. To their feet, medics tended the wounded. Soldiers guarded the streets. He walked up to a tall Terran soldier. "Nervous? Why? Why did you help us?" The soldier turned his helmet toward him. Then he spoke. "We heard your call. You were in pain. That's all we needed." "Are you from Earth?" "Yes." Virik hesitated. "And you came with an army." The soldier nodded once. When Earth answers, it answers with fire. Back in space, the war fleet prepared to move again. Captain Juno looked at Admiral Reyna. "They'll tell stories about this." Reyna didn't smile. "They should. So next time, the galaxy thinks twice." Juno stepped closer. "What if more cries for help come?" Reyna looked out at the stars. "Then Earth will answer again." She turned away, her voice low. "And next time, The wreckage of the Drekker fleet still floated above Yevran 6, like dark scars in space from the surface. Commander Virik stared at the glowing trail of Terran ships leaving orbit. He didn't speak. His people stood beside him, tired but alive. For the first time in days, the sky was quiet. No screams, no fire. But peace did not bring comfort, like they had been waiting for a reason. Beside him, Elder Yarek, one of the oldest surviving Javeran leaders, nodded slowly. "I fear they weren't just saving us," he said. "They were releasing something they had been holding back." Virik looked at him. "Releasing what?" Yarek's voice lowered. "Vengeance." Far above, the Terran dreadnought, Black Phoenix, moved through deep space like a hunting beast. Inside its command deck, Admiral Reyna stood still as stars passed by the window. Captain Juno approached her with a report. Final Drekker transmissions captured Admiral Ray. They were trying to surrender. Reyna didn't blink. Too late. "We're already broken," Juno said. "Some of our own soldiers questioned the..." Thronos Reyna turned to face her. "Do you think we were wrong?" Juno hesitated. "No, ma'am. Just, maybe we're feared now more than we are understood." Reyna walked to the center of the deck and tapped the console. A hologram. "The war wasn't over. They will understand this," Reyna said, cold and sharp. "Earth is not their enemy. Earth is the shield between the weak and the wicked. If they fear us, good. Fear stops blood." In a small Drekker war room, deep in a hidden asteroid base, High Lord Velkar slammed his fist on the table. The room shook. His officers remained silent. 5 fleets. Gone, he growled, crushed like insects. "Who are these Deathworlders?" "They call themselves Terrans, sir," a young officer said. "From a planet called Earth." Velkar's eyes burned. "We've enslaved hundreds of worlds. None have struck back like this. They didn't send diplomats. They didn't send threats. They just attacked." The room stayed quiet. Then another officer spoke, voice shaking. "They didn't just... Then we hunt them back. Prepare our reserves, gather the dark fleets. If they want war, we will give them a storm." Fires were put out, the dead were counted. But hope was fragile. In the capital square, Virik sat with Myratha, officer who had stayed behind to help. "I thought you all left," he said. She smiled slightly. "They did. I stayed to help coordinate recovery." "You're different," Virik said. "Not really," Mira replied. "We all follow the same code, but I believe mercy has power too." Virik looked at her closely. "Why are you helping us rebuild?" She replied softly, "Because destruction is easy. Saving something takes real strength." They sat in silence. Around them, Terran engineers worked side by side with Javaran survivors. A child ran past, laughing for the first time in days. But Earth's Command Council, gathered by hologram, faces from different backgrounds, different worlds. They didn't argue, they didn't smile. Reyna appeared at the center. "Our intervention at Everon 6 is complete," she stated, "but the Drekker are regrouping. We have confirmation of a secondary fleet being moved to the outer colonies." Counselor Malik, an older man with tired eyes, leaned forward, and the civilians, surviving, rebuilding, our medics stayed behind. Another voice cut in Counselor Enya, and the cost. Reyna paused. 223 Terran lives lost. 32 ships damaged. One message sent. Silence. Malik spoke again. "What message?" Reyna looked at them all. "We are not your prey." Somewhere in deep space, the Drekker's Black Fang fleet emerged from warp. Dozens of ships, their hulls painted in blood and bone. These were not normal soldiers. These were exterminators. Velker stood at the front of the flagship. "Find out where that Terran fleet came from. Track them. Follow their jump trails." A comms officer spoke nervously, "And when we find them..." On the ground, Mira received a coded alert. She read the screen, and her face turned cold. "What is it?" Varric asked. She looked at him. "Drekker fleets are mobilizing. They're angry. They want revenge." His face dropped. "Then your people will come again." She shook her head. "No, this time they won't wait to be called." In the dark hangars of Black Phoenix, soldiers prepared for the next war. New armor was issued, weapons upgraded, but we will finish it. "Cheers, Rose, low and steady," Reyna continued. "The Drekker think fear will break us. They don't. Understand Earth was born in fear, raised in fire, forged in war." She lifted her hand. "Now we bring war to them." Later that night, Varric sat alone under the broken sky. "Earth will come." He looked up at the stars. He had sent an SOS once, and it had brought fire. He wondered now what the galaxy... The Drekker shipyard in the Oversystem was the largest slave processing station in that sector. Cold, gray towers reached into the sky like knives, chains clanked, screams echoed through the corridors. Hundreds of alien prisoners were kept, in cages, waiting to be sold. High Overseer Craig stood on the balcony, sipping thick black fluid from a metal flask. He watched with satisfaction as another group of chained beings were dragged toward the lower levels. "Yavron, huh?" he spat. "Soft things sell for a good price." A guard beside him nodded. They cried the loudest. Craig chuckled. "Weak things always do." But then, a distant alarm sounded at first. Craig ignored it. Another prisoner trying to escape, maybe. A faulty sensor. But when a second alarm blared, longer, deeper, his hand froze. "What now?" he growled. Suddenly, all comms went dead. The entire station went silent. Then the lights turned red. In space above, over the Black Phoenix, dropped from warp. Dozens of Terran ships followed, fanning out like the wings of a dark god. They didn't speak. They didn't warn. They acted inside the Terran war room. Admiral Reyna gave the command, "No survivors. Confirm slave traffic logs. Prioritize those stations first." Captain Juno responded, "Confirmed. 8 Drekker transport hubs detected. This one is largest. Estimated 5,000 slaves." Reyna's voice was calm. "Free them. Burn everything else." Overseer Craig stared out the window as the first Terran beam carved straight through the station's upper tower. The sound came later, metal groaning, fire roaring, walls collapsing. A guard screamed, "Warships. Unknown class. Massive." They didn't get to finish. The wall behind them exploded. Fire swallowed the room. In the lower levels, the imprisoned Javeran huddled in fear. They heard the thunder above. Some wept, some prayed. Then something fell from the ceiling. A round object, mall silver, blinking. The children backed away. The device hissed open, and a calm, soft voice spoke. "This is Earth. You are not forgotten. Stay low. Rescue teams inbound." The cages unlocked one by one. Terran drop units smashed into the station's outer docks. Soldiers poured out in black armor, glowing visors, and quiet footsteps. They didn't yell. They didn't taunt. They eliminated. One soldier kicked open a slave auction chamber. Drekker guards opened fire. The human didn't flinch. A pulse shot lit the room blue. and in seconds the guards were dead. The prisoners stared in disbelief. Who are you?" one asked. The soldier knelt. "You're free now. Earth sent us." In orbit, Captain Juno monitored all squads. "We've secured 3 wings," she said. "Slaves are being evacuated through docking bays." Reyna stared at the map and the Drekker, still trying to mount resistance. "But they're losing fast." Reyna didn't smile. "They deserve worse." Meanwhile, in a Drekker war chamber, far from the battle, Lord Velker slammed his fist again. "How do they find us so quickly? How do they know?" A general spoke nervously. "They hacked our slave trade routes. They're using our own systems against us." Velkar leaned forward. "So they think they're clever." He turned to a technician. "Deploy the Shadow Dagger. Send it to the mining moons. Let's see if Earth still plays hero when innocents burn." On the ground, Mira moved through smoke and rubble. Her squad had just freed over 100 prisoners from a collapsed cell block. A young alien girl clung to her leg. "Please, don't." "Leave," the girl said. Myra knelt. "I won't. You're safe now." Just then, her earpiece buzzed. "New alert," the voice said. "Multiple civilian colonies under threat. Drekker. Retaliation already in motion." Mira's face turned pale. "They're attacking other worlds." The child tugged her arm. "Will you save them too?" Mira didn't speak. She just stood slowly, then said, "I'll try." Back on the Black Phoenix, Admiral Reyna listened to the report. 5 colonies under attack, Juno said. "Mining, moons, civilians only. No weapons." Reyna's hands tightened into fists. "They're trying to draw us out," she muttered. "Punish us by killing the helpless again." "What do we do?" Juno asked. Reyna turned to the fleet. "Split the armada. Send rapid response units to each moon. Leave this station to Ash." Overseer Craig was bleeding, crawling down a smoking hallway. Alarms wailed. The fire burned hot. The walls cracked and sparked. He reached the lower hangar, where a single Drekker shuttle remained. As he climbed in, a voice called behind him. "Going somewhere?" He turned. A Terran stood in the smoke. Helmet off, eyes cold. "You're the one who laughed while children cried." Craig tried to pull his weapon. The Terran shot him once. Not to kill, just to drop him, then walked forward, grabbed him by the collar, and whispered, "This isn't revenge. It's judgment." The Terran fleet pulled out of orbit an hour later. The Over station was gone. Where it had once floated was now a ring of glowing debris. 5,000 slaves had been rescued. 12,000 Drekker were dead. Reyna stood on the bridge and stared. "At the stars, they'll hit back," Juno said quietly. "I know," Reyna replied, "but they're not the only ones with a score to settle." Elsewhere in the galaxy, Velkar stood over a burning colony. He watched the sky, waiting. "Come on then, Earth," he said. "Come save them." His eyes narrowed. "Let's see how fast you really are." At that same moment, aboard the Iron Rain, a fast response ship of Earth's fleet, Myra received the target coordinates. The next colony was under siege. She turned to her squad. "You've all seen what the Drekker do? We don't arrive late, we don't arrive weak." She stepped into her armor, eyes locked ahead. "Now we show them what..." The enemy ships hovered like vultures over the burning city of Varnak. Fire covered the streets. Screams echoed through the thick smoke. Commander Thalik gripped the edge of the broken console. His scales burnt, his breathing short. "They're not stopping. They're hunting survivors," whispered his second-in-command, eyes wide with fear. Thalik didn't answer. He stared at the long-range radar. There, in the far edge of the screen, was a blinking signal response, but not from any Varnakian ship. It came from deep space, from the Death World, from Earth. His claws trembled as he whispered, "They're coming." The orbit around Varnak lit up. The invading fleet, smug in their victory, had not expected company. At first, it was a whisper on their scanners. A single blip, then 2, then 20, then silence, the kind of silence that made generals sweat. Admiral Trakan of the Zero Empire narrowed his eyes. "What are those readings?" A nervous technician answered, "Unknown class, unknown origin. No ID, no response." Then came the sound that changed everything, a voice. It was human. This is Terran warship Wrath of Dawn to all hostile vessels. You have 30 seconds to withdraw. You invaded sovereign space, slaughtered civilians, and ignored the SOS protocols of the Galactic Accord. Your actions are classified as crimes against sentient life. 25 seconds. Tracon laughed. Bluff. From the ruins of the Varnock capital, Thalik looked up. And the sky split open. Dozens of massive black ships exited warp in perfect formation. Sleek, armored, humming with energy, each looked like a floating fortress. Their hulls bore a symbol. No alien dared forget. The Terran skull, surrounded by twin burning stars. A child near Thalik, dirty and coughing, stared in awe. Is that the humans? Thalik placed a trembling hand on the boy's shoulder. Yes, and now the monsters will learn fear. Admiral Tracon had made his decision. Open fire. Show them what the Zero Empire does to threats. His entire forward fleet launched plasma rounds, missiles, particle beams. The human ships didn't even dodge. They absorbed the hits. Their shields shimmered blue and golden, holding strong. Then, with cold precision, they returned fire. One beam from the lead Terran destroyer sliced an enemy cruiser in half like butter. Another fired a shockwave that disabled shields of 5 Zero vessels. The humans weren't fighting, they were punishing. Inside the Terran flagship, a woman in black armor stood silently, watching the devastation. Admiral Helena Cross, known across 10 star systems as the fire that walks. Target confirmed. Prioritize war crime vessels, no mercy, she said. Her voice was calm, ice cold. Ma'am, they're fleeing. Let them run, but send the message. Which message? Helena smiled darkly. The one we always send. The officer tapped the console. A signal beamed across space. Every enemy ship received the same thing, a single sentence, translated in every known galactic tongue. You asked for help. We brought judgment. On the ground, Thalik and the survivors watched with tears in their eyes. The enemy fleet that once blotted out the sky now burned like stars falling. Into the sea, debris rained down. The thunder of Terran guns echoed like a storm of justice. He looked around at the children hiding in the wreckage, at the wounded, the elderly. They answered. They really answered. A human shuttle landed nearby. Armed Terran Marines stepped out, scanning the area, offering food and medicine. A Varnakian child reached for one. Are you here to protect us? The soldier kneeled. No, we're here to make sure they never hurt you again. Far above, inside the last surviving enemy cruiser, Admiral Tracon screamed in rage. This isn't war, it's extermination. He tried to flee. His ship was fast, but not fast enough. A Terran stealth drone latched onto his hull and sent one final message. Before detonating, you should have never touched the helpless. After the battle, Earth's fleet remained not to rule, not to occupy, but to rebuild. Admiral Helena stood beside Thalik as Terran engineers restored water lines and repaired shelters. You didn't have to come, Thalik said quietly. Helena looked up at the sky. You called, we answered. That's what humans do. But why such fury? Why such fire? Helena's eyes darkened. Because once we were like you, alone, screaming, into the stars, and no one came. Thalik said nothing, but he understood, and so did the galaxy. Because the next time someone thought about attacking the weak, they remembered V.A. Arnek and the Terran fleet. The wind howled through the broken windows of the station. Dust filled the air. Blood was still fresh on the floor. Major Leanne crouched beside the twisted metal door, listening. Her hand rested on her rifle, finger tight on the trigger. She whispered, "How many footsteps did you hear?" Sergeant Vale didn't move. His eyes stayed on the hallway. 3, maybe 4. They're moving slow, searching. Leanne's jaw tightened. The enemy was still here. Behind her, Dr. Wren held the small black box close to his chest. We have to get this data to command. If we fail, they'll never believe the aliens attacked first. Vale glanced at him. With all due respect, Doctor, if they find us, it won't matter what's in that box. We move, Leanne said. North stairwell now. They slipped out, silent, quick. Every step was careful. The station had once been a research outpost. Now it was a tomb. Lights flickered. Doors hung off hinges. Human bodies lay cold and torn in every corridor. Leanne stopped suddenly and raised a fist. They froze. Voices echoed down the hall, guttural and sharp. Ithari Ren whispered. I recognize some words. What are they saying? Lian asked. He hesitated, then swallowed hard. They're laughing about killing everyone. Vale's grip on his weapon tightened. Let me introduce them to a Terran joke. Quiet, Lian ordered. We get to the roof. Signal the warship. That's our mission. The team moved fast now, cutting through a side lab. The air smelled of chemicals and burnt electronics. As they passed a shattered control panel, a monitor suddenly blinked on. Static filled the screen. Then, a face-twisted, blue-skinned with yellow eyes. It was the Ithari commander. Humans, the voice hissed from the speaker. You run! But the stars belong to us now. You will all die here, and your war fleet will never learn the truth. Screen went black. Ren stared at it in shock. They hacked our systems. They're watching us. Let them watch, Vale muttered. I'll wave before I send them to hell. They reached the stairwell. Lian led the way. The stairs creaked under their boots. Every sound echoed, every second stretched longer dots, suddenly footsteps. Fast, coming down from above, Lian hissed back. Unit. Moments later, 3 Ithari soldiers appeared, tall, armed, wearing armor that shimmered like liquid steel. They passed by without seeing them. As the enemy disappeared below, Vale grinned. We should have left them a surprise grenade. No. Noise? Lian reminded him. They're still nearby. At the top of the stairs, the door was jammed. Lian kicked it hard. It flew open, and light spilled in. The roof was cold and wide. A broken satellite dish lay on its side. In the distance, smoke rose from ruined buildings. The city was gone. Ren knelt and opened the black box. Inside was a transmitter. He began typing. 10 seconds to boost signal, he said. Keep me covered. Lian took position near the ledge. Vale guarded the stairwell. Everything was silent. Then a whistle cut the air. Sniper fire. The shot missed, ran by inches, shattering the transmitter's casing. Sniper Lian shouted, Down, Ren dove. Lian scanned the nearby buildings. She spotted the glint of a scope across the street. Vale growled. Permission to return fire. Granted. He fired once. The sniper's scope vanished in sparks. A Ithari body fell from the rooftop across from them. But it was too late. Ren lifted the transmitter. It's dead. They hit the core. I can't send the data. No, Lian said, shaking her head. There's one way left. She reached into her coat and pulled out a small silver chip. This is the backup, she said. My armor has a short-range booster. If I run to the top of the comms tower, I can send it manually. That's suicide, Vale said. You'll be out in the open the whole time. Better one of us than none of us, she replied. Ren looked at her. Let me go. I made this mess. I built the weapons they stole. Let me fix it. Lian shook her head. You're the only one who understands the tech. If I fail, someone has to explain it. Vale scowled. Or we all go down shooting. Negative, she said. Cover me. She ran down the ladder. Across the roof, the tower was 30 meters away. Bullets rained from hidden enemy shooters. Lian zigzagged, ducked, rolled. Her armor sparked as rounds bounced off. One hit her leg. She stumbled. Keep going, Vale yelled, firing at the windows. Ren crawled to the edge. Watching in horror, Lian reached the base of the tower. She climbed fast, bleeding teeth clenched. At the top, she jammed the chip into the port. Uploading, she said. 10 seconds. Suddenly, a Ithari gunship appeared in the sky, roaring toward her. Vale screamed, Get down! The gunship opened, fired. The tower exploded. Ren fell backward. No smoke rose. The structure crumbled. Everything was silent then. A beep. Ren's wrist console blinked. Signal received. Upload complete. He gasped. She did it. Vale stared at the rising smoke. Damn! Hours later, a human warship arrived. Missiles streaked from the sky, destroying the Ithari positions. Fighters chased the gunship. Ground troops landed near the station. Ren and Vale were pulled out. Wounded, but alive. A captain stepped out of the landing craft. Happened here. Ren handed over the black box and the chip. She saved us all, and now... Ash drifted through the air like snowfall, silent and choking. The screams had faded hours ago. leaving only the sound of crackling fire and distant sobs. Leah's hands trembled as she held her younger brother close. His face was smudged with soot, his eyes wide and unblinking. "It's okay, Jace," she whispered, though she didn't believe it herself. "We'll make it. We have to." In the far distance, a low hum grew louder. It wasn't a rescue ship. The sound was too sharp. Too cold, the enemy was coming back. But this time, something else was coming too. General Monroe stood on the bridge of the Midnight Vow, Earth's oldest surviving dreadnought, now retrofitted with Terran AI tech and graviton cannons. His eyes were locked on the distress signal still pulsing. On the screen, it had come from Delkin 5 12 hours ago before the comms went dark. He asked quietly. "Sat feeds show orbital bombardment. Civilian zones were targeted first," his XO replied. "No military installations left standing. Survivors, if any, are underground." Monroe's jaw clenched. "So they're making examples now," the XO nodded grimly. This was never about conquest. It's punishment. The lights on the bridge dimmed for a moment, flickering as the ship's AI synced with a growing Terran fleet behind them. Hundreds of vessels, destroyers, frigates, stealth cutters drifted in silence. Forming a spear pointed at Delkin 5, "We go in quiet," Monroe said. "No mercy, not this time." Beneath the burning sky of Delkin 5, a single orbital drop pod slammed into the rubble near Leah's hiding place. The impact shook the ground. Leah screamed, shielding Jace with her body. But no soldiers came out, no aliens, no monsters. Instead, the pod hissed open and a tall metal figure emerged, sleek, silver-black armor, glowing red visor. "Don't be afraid," it said in perfect human English. "You called, we came." It knelt, extending a hand. Jace stared. "You're from Earth." The machine nodded. "Human-built. Protocol unit S-47. Extraction protocol active." Leah hesitated. "Are there more of you?" S-47 turned its head. "Thousands, and we brought the fleet." Above, the clouds parted as burning light broke through. The first of Earth's warships descended from orbit like falling stars. The silence of defeat was over. The storm was beginning. The Zarn Dominion had always seen humans as inconvenient. Dangerous, yes, but scattered, divided, not worth the trouble unless provoked. So they pushed Earth's colonies, bombed allies, enslaved outer rim settlements. But this time, they had crossed a line. The destruction of Delkin 5 was supposed to send a message. It did, but not the one they wanted, because the humans didn't just respond. They unleashed something. The Zarn flagship Vorax edge-hovered above the planet, watching the chaos below with satisfaction. "The resistance is broken," said a Zarn officer. "No more cries, no more transmissions." "Then they've learned fear," the warlord hissed. But then, the alarms started. Dozens of blips appeared on long-range sensors, hundreds, then thousands. Ships, human ships. "What is this?" "Terran. Fleet. Multiple signatures, battle cruisers, AI drones, quantum fusion warheads. They can't have rebuilt so fast." "They didn't rebuild," a Zarn technician whispered. "They evolved." And before any order could be given, the first wave hit. Earth's war fleet didn't ask questions. They erased the enemy. S-47 moved through the ruins, its arm transforming into a pulse rifle as hostile drones descended. "Cover," it shouted, grabbing Leah and Jace and shielding them with its body. Plasma bolts ricocheted off its armor. S-47 fired back in clean, precise bursts, cutting down enemy scouts one by one from the sky. Drop pods landed in synchronized strikes, unloading squads of Terran infantrymen and women in Gravimer eyes. Glowing with neural links to the fleet AI, they fanned out like silent ghosts, killing with machine precision. "We're not just here to rescue," S-47 said as it marched forward. "We're here to end it." On the bridge of the Midnight Vow, Monroe stared at the burning wreckage of the Zarn Armada. "They're trying to retreat," the XO said. "Let them," the order shocked the crew. "Sir, let them run. Let them tell their leaders what happened. Here, let them say Earth didn't just respond. We came with fire and fury." 2 days later, as relief teams pulled survivors from the rubble, Leah stood in the light of a new dawn. Earth engineers had already begun constructing temporary shelters. Drones cleared debris. Medical bots treated the injured. Jace was asleep. Under a thermal blanket, Leah watched the sky, still streaked with the smoke trails of war. S-47 stood beside her, motionless. "You came when no one else did," she said softly. "We always come," the machine replied, "but only when the enemy forgets who we are." She looked up. "And who are you?" S-47's red eyes pulsed like twin stars. "We're the children of Earth. We're what waits when mercy is gone. We are the answer." And as the fleet rose, again into the stars, leaving only ashes behind it, was clear. Humanity wasn't just part of the galaxy anymore. The room was dark. Only the soft glow of the emergency lights touched the metal walls. Captain Reyna stood silently in front of the main screen, watching a strange signal repeat over and over. "Are you sure it's not a trap?" Commander Elias asked quietly. Reyna didn't turn. "I don't know. But that signal, it's human." Everyone in the control room froze. "Human," whispered Technician Laura. "Out here," Reyna nodded. "It's our old code. From Earth, no alien could fake that." The crew looked at each other. They were deep in uncharted space. The last human colony was light years behind them. And yet, something was calling for help. Elias stepped forward. "Play it again," the signal repeated. Crackled static, then 5 short beeps, a long one, then a voice. "Weak, broken, but human. This is Eco-7, please. They're inside. We didn't mean to wake them." The voice faded. "Eco-7?" Elias asked. "That's not on any map." "It isn't," Rena replied, "which means it's either very old or hidden." They exchanged a glance. A hidden base, a forgotten outpost, or worse, a ghost trap. Laura spoke up. "Should we reply?" Reyna hesitated. "No, not yet. Let's go there first, quietly." The ship turned, engines humming softly as they approached the signal source. Hours passed. The tension grew. No other transmissions came. Finally, they reached it. It was a dark planet. No light, no atmosphere, just rock and silence. But orbiting it was a massive structure unabandoned, station floating, broken, like a wounded animal. "Scan it," Reyna ordered. "No signs of life," Laura said, "but I'm picking up power." "Barely." Reyna stared at the screen. "We're going in." The boarding team landed on the station. Their boots echoed in the silence. Flashlights cut through the dust and shadows. Every corner felt like it held a secret. "This place gives me the creeps," muttered Elias. They moved deeper, signs of a battle, burn marks, broken doors, blood on the walls. Then they found the message. A terminal screen flickered to life. Words slowly appeared. "You are human. Turn back. They are not dead. They only sleep." "What does that mean?" Laura asked, voice shaking. Reyna touched the screen. "It means someone made a mistake here, a big one." They reached the command center. Inside, a figure sat slumped. In a chair, a corpse wrapped in a faded Earth uniform, still holding a small black device. Reyna picked it up. It was a data recorder. She turned it on. A voice spoke. .com. "Tired. Afraid. This is Commander Hale of Eco-7. We thought we were alone. We were wrong. Under the surface, we found them. Not machines, not aliens. Something worse. Static." They spoke. Not with voices, but inside our minds. "At first, we thought we were going crazy. Then people began to change. Their eyes, their voices, like puppets, more static. We tried to seal the lower levels. It didn't work. We couldn't destroy them. Just slow them down. Final words: if this message reaches Earth, warn them. Do not wake the deep. Do not try to control what you don't understand." The recording ended. No one spoke for a long time. "We need to leave," Elias said finally. "Now." But just then, Laura's voice came through the comm captain. "Something's happening." Back on the ship, systems were failing. Lights flickered. Screens turned to static. One by one, the crew collapsed, fainting or screaming in pain. Reyna and her team rushed back. But as they reached the docking bay, the ship's doors sealed shut. Laura opened the doors. Reyna yelled, "Silence!" Then a voice came over the ships. But it wasn't Laura's. It was Hale's voice, the dead commander. "You shouldn't have come." Elias stepped back. "He's dead. We saw his body." Reyna stared at the console. "That's not him. It's them," using his voice. Then, the lights went red. The station came alive. Doors opened on their own. Cold air rushed through the halls. Shadows moved in places where there was no light. Reyna turned to her team. Weapons up. We're not alone anymore. They fought their way through the station. Strange shapes moved in the dark, creatures made of smoke and shadow, eyes that glowed without a body. Whispers filled their ears. Come closer. You belong here. One by one, team members fell, pulled into the dark, screaming. Then, silence. Reyna and Elias reached the power core, the only way to destroy the station. We have to end this, she said. Elias nodded. We overload it. Everything burns. He began working on the panel. The system resisted, as if alive. Wires sparked. The console fought back. Then Reyna heard a voice behind her, a voice that sounded like her mother. Why are you doing this, sweet girl? Don't you remember home? She turned, heart pounding. Nothing was there. Elias screamed. Something had grabbed him. His eyes turned black. He was no longer human. Promised peace, he whispered. They showed me everything. Reyna raised her weapon. I'm sorry. She pulled the trigger. The thing that used to be Elias fell. With trembling hands, she finished the override. The countdown began. 90 seconds, she ran. Back through fire, through screams, through memories that were not hers. The station shook. Parts of it fell. She reached the ship. The door opened. Laura was there, pale and shaking. They left me alone, she whispered. I think they were inside my head. Reyna pulled her into the cockpit. We're leaving. They broke orbit just as the station exploded behind them. A silent fireball in the void. Silence. Rayna looked at Laura. You okay? Laura nodded slowly. I think so, but her eyes, they were wrong. Too still, too empty. Reyna didn't speak. She just looked at the stars ahead and whispered. The silence in the command deck was not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that held its breath. Captain Rhea stood tall, her hands behind her back, staring at the star map glowing above the table. The fleet had arrived in orbit. Below them was the ravaged planet Oryx, a once beautiful world, now drowning in smoke and ash. Scans show multiple heat signatures across the planet. Survivors? Asked Commander Teague, his voice low. Rhea narrowed her eyes. No, traps. Teague's face tightened. They knew we'd come. We were meant to see this, she replied coldly. The corpses, the burning cities. They wanted to provoke us. A low alarm pulsed through the deck. Sensors flashed. Multiple warp signatures inbound. The ops officer called out. Unidentified ships, big ones. Rhea didn't flinch. Put them on screen. The view screen filled with shadow. Dozens of alien warships dropped out of warp silent, black, like ghosts. Who are they? Teague asked. Unknown, the officer said, scanning quickly. No match in the archives, but they're not friendly. Rhea turned away from the screen. Arm the railguns. Bring drones online. Battle stations. Just as the crew moved, a deep static growl filled the speakers. You should not have come. The voice was slow, cruel. It wasn't just speaking. It was listening to itself speak. This is Captain Rhea of the Terran War Fleet. Identify yourself, she ordered. The reply was laughter, but it was wrong. It sounded like something laughing with a human voice that didn't belong to a human. Then, more words. We took Oryx as a message. We left the children alive so they would remember. You call yourselves protectors. We call you late. Teague clenched his fists. Captain, permission to respond with fire. But Rhea held up a hand. No, she said, not yet. The alien ships didn't attack. They watched. Their weapons powered up slowly, as if daring humanity to strike first. Ma'am, said the tactical officer, we're outnumbered 4-1. And outgunned, I know that too. So why wait? Teague whispered. Because, Rhea said, her voice turning ice cold, they want rage. I will give them fear instead. She tapped her command screen. Patch me into the fleet. The screen split into dozens of live feeds. Captains of the Terran War Fleet stared back at her, their ships in perfect formation behind hers. This is Rhea. We face an enemy that kills for pride, that hides behind burned cities and thinks silence is strength. We are not here for revenge. We are here for justice. And justice comes without mercy. All channels went quiet, and then the Terran fleet began to move, not forward. Around they're forming the iron spiral. Teague whispered in awe. She's boxing them in. The alien fleet reacted. Some ships tried to break formation. Others turned to flee, too late. From the Terran side, tiny black dots appeared dozens. Then hundreds fast, small hunter drones launched in complete silence. They moved like insects swarming, diving, targeting engines, weapons, communications. The enemy tried to shoot them down, but the drones were too many, too fast. Explosions bloomed across the enemy line, not from the outside in, but from the inside out, enemy ships imploding. The ops officer shouted, "Drones are triggering core collapses." Teague blinked. How did they? Those weren't standard drones, Rhea said quietly. They were prototype nanoburst carriers. Gen 7 tech. We didn't even list them in the fleet manifest. On the screen, an enemy dreadnought lit up like a star before vanishing into ash. Suddenly, the voice returned. You should not have come, but this time it was broken. Not proud, afraid, Rhea spoke calmly. You wanted humanity's attention. Now you have it. The last enemy ship tried to run, but it didn't make it far. A railgun slug, moving faster than light, tore it in half. Silence returned to the command deck. This time, it was peaceful. Teague exhaled. Captain, we did it. No, she said. This was just a test. Someone sent them. Someone is watching us, waiting to see what we'll do next. A new signal blinked onto the comms screen-coded, faint, barely there. Another SOS? Asked the officer. Rhea looked at the coordinates. Her blood went cold. No, it's not a distress call, she whispered. It's a warning. Teague leaned in. From who? Rhea stared at the screen. The message was just 5 words, repeated over and over. The alien city burned. Thick black smoke rose into the sky. The screams of the wounded echoed through the shattered streets. Buildings lay in ruins. Fires raged without end. General Varkesh, once a proud warrior of the Drexari Empire, crawled through the rubble. His left arm was broken, his right eye blinded, but none of it compared to the fear burning in his chest. He had made a mistake, a terrible mistake. They had sent the wrong signal, and now humanity was here. A shadow fell over him. He looked up slowly. A giant machine over 3 meters tall stood in front of him. Its body was armored black steel. Red lights glowed in its chest and head. It was shaped like a human, but moved like death itself. The machine raised one arm. A voice came from ITCOM, clear, cold. You attacked a Terran relief ship. Surrender was never an option after that. Varkesh coughed, blood spilling from his mouth. We didn't know it was human. It wore no flags, no signals. That is not our concern. You opened fire. Now Earth responds. A white flash, silence, elsewhere, in orbit above the burning planet. The Terran flagship Judgment hovered like a god of war, red from constant use. Hundreds of drones buzzed around it like angry bees. On the bridge, Admiral Reyes watched the tactical display. They're broken, her officer said. The Drexari fleet is gone. Their last ground command post was destroyed 12 minutes ago. Reyes didn't smile. This isn't victory, she said. It's a warning. Captain Darnell turned toward her. Do you think they'll understand it this time? They will, Reyes said. If they don't, the next planet will vanish. Completely. Behind her, the bridge's giant screen showed images from below. Drexari civilians were fleeing. Some were trying to hide in deep bunkers. Others raised white flags made of rags. Should we allow humanitarian aid teams now? Darnell asked. Reyes paused. Yes, but send in only Gen 1 robots. No humans. I don't trust them not to shoot us again. Back on the ground, a young Drexari child stumbled through the ash. His breathing was weak. He clutched a broken toy. In his clawed hand, a small, hovering sphere silver with blue blinking lights floated down in front of him. It spoke. Stay still. You are injured. The child looked up. Will you kill me? No, said the bot. I am here to help. The sphere shined a light over him. Slowly, his pain faded. The sphere released a warm mist. The child blinked, surprised, as the cuts on his skin closed. Who are you? He asked. I am Unit 497, Earth Medical Support Drone. You are safe now. The child started to cry. Far above, a transmission was being sent out to the entire galaxy. The Terran message was simple: do not mistake our kindness for weakness. Earth will answer every act of war with fire, precision, and resolve. We will not be the first to attack, but if you strike, we will finish it. In the Galactic Council chamber, hundreds of species watched the message. No one moved, no one spoke. Ambassador Kethalee of the Saraxi Alliance finally whispered, "They are not like us. Their mercy is cold, their vengeance is endless." Another ambassador, a reptilian creature from the Druk Empire, growled, "They were supposed to be weak. The humans only joined the stars a few centuries ago." And yet, Kethalee replied, "They just defeated one of our oldest empires in less than a week." Across the stars, planets began to adjust their policies. Some banned attacks on any vessel marked Earth origin. Others started diplomatic missions to Terran colonies in hidden labs and shadowed war rooms. Leaders whispered one new rule: never provoke the Deathworlders. Back on the Judgment, Rhea stood in her private quarters, staring at a photo on the wall. Showed a relief team smiling men and women standing next to a group of alien children. The background was peaceful. The mood was warm. That team had been on the ship, the Drexery. Destroyed. They hadn't been soldiers. They had been doctors, nurses, teachers. "Begged for peace," she said softly, "and you gave them fire." She turned away. The door chimed. "Come," an officer stepped in. "Admiral, there's a new signal. Unknown source. Encrypted. But it bears the Terran diplomatic code." Reyes narrowed her eyes. "Play it." The screen lit up. A hologram appeared. It was a Furlani, one of the few species that had once fought alongside humanity in the early days. The Furlani bowed Earth. "We ask for your help. Something is coming. Not a war of planets, a war of extinction." Reyes stepped closer. Explained. The Furlani looked haunted. "We detected a fleet. Massive, old, from beyond the galactic rim. Not alive. Machines. No emotion. No reason. They consume stars." Darnell stared at the hologram. "You're talking about myths?" "No," the Furlani said. "I saw them with my own eyes. They destroyed a red dwarf system. Nothing escaped." The message ended. Rhea stood still. "So, the galaxy isn't done testing us," she muttered. She turned to the command console. "Recall the Second Armada. Notify the Mars and Titan shipyards. We might be fighting something worse than stupidity this time." Darnell spoke carefully. "Do we respond?" Reyes gave him a cold smile. "We are humanity. If they want to erase the galaxy wheel, make sure Earth is the last light they ever see." The stars, once again, braced for war and Earth. The last enemy ship exploded in the black silence of space. Fire and broken metal scattered like sparks from a dying star. The humans aboard the warship Vindicator watched the final moments of the enemy fleet with cold, quiet eyes. Captain Rhea stood at the command deck, her face lit only by the red glow of emergency lights. Her voice was steady. "Status. Enemy fleet is gone," Lieutenant Carter replied. "All 37 ships. No survivors." There was a pause. The crew stared at the screens. Silence. Then, "Message incoming," said Ensign Tau. "From the survivors on Varnock 9, put it through," Rhea said. A tired alien voice came through the speakers. It trembled with disbelief. You came back, we thought. You left us." Rhea didn't smile. Her voice was firm. "We don't abandon allies, not even after betrayal." There was silence on the other end, then soft weeping. "Gratitude. We will never forget this. Never." The crew didn't cheer. They didn't smile. Not yet, because it wasn't over. Carter turned to Rhea. "That was the last of the Syndax warlords. But the transmission, it wasn't them who sent it. We still don't know who triggered the signal." Rhea nodded slowly. "Then we find out." The warship turned, its engines lighting the void. Humanity had answered the call, but the truth behind the signal still waited in the shadows. Hours later, deep in the ship's intelligence bay, something strange came to light. "This isn't possible," said Tau, eyes wide as she stared at the data. "What is it?" Rhea asked, stepping closer. The signal, it was sent from a dead relay station. One we lost contact with 70 years ago. No life signs, no working systems. but the signal came from there 3 days ago. Rhea frowned. Show me the transmission. Tal played it. The room filled with static. Then a voice, human, weak, broken. This is Captain Marcus Hale, of the Eclipse. If anyone hears this, please don't trust the peacekeepers. They're not what they seem. They're using the Syndax to clean house. Earth is next. Please don't let them win. The message cut off. The room went cold. The Eclipse vanished decades ago, Carter whispered. It was declared lost. In deep space, looks like they weren't lost, Rhea muttered. They were silenced. Silence filled the room. Carter broke it. If what he said is true, the peacekeepers are allies there behind this war. Rhea nodded grimly. And we've been fighting their enemies for them. Tao looked pale. That means they turned us into weapons. No, Rhea said. They tried. She turned toward the window, looking out at the stars. Set course for the relay station. We find out what happened, and then we end this. The Vindicator burned through the void, faster than light. Faster than thought, the relay station came into view. A ghost in the dark. Broken, silent, forgotten. But inside, something waited. A landing team entered the station. Darkness greeted them. Old blood on the walls. Signs of a fight long ago. Then, a room full of frozen bodies, cryopods. One of them flickered. Ma'am, Tao whispered. That's him, Marcus Hale. Rhea stepped forward. Wake him. As the cryopod hissed and opened, a pale bearded man gasped for air. His eyes fluttered, then locked onto hers. You made it, he whispered. Rhea nodded. You sent the signal. I had to. They left us to die here. We found out the truth too late. Tell me everything, Rhea said. Hal spoke slowly, carefully. The peacekeepers. They created the Syndax, gave them weapons, planets, then blamed them for the chaos. To unite the galaxy under their rule, they needed an enemy. So they built one. Rhea's fists clenched. And Earth? They knew humans were dangerous. Too strong, too proud, too independent. So they kept us busy, sent us to fight their wars, to bleed for their lies. And now, they're almost done, Hale said weakly. Once the Syndax are gone, Earth will be next. The fleet, the colonies, all of it. Rhea stood. Her voice was steel. Then we strike first. Carter's voice came through the comm. Ma'am, peacekeeper ships incoming. 3 of them. They've found us. Return to the ship, Rhea said. Now, the Vindicator left the dead station behind, then turned to face its new enemy. 3 peacekeeper dreadnoughts arrived. Their voices came over open channels. Unidentified Terran vessel. You are in restricted space. Power down and prepare to be boarded. Rhea didn't answer. She stepped onto the bridge. All stations ready. Carter stared at the screens. Ma'am, we're outgunned. We've always been outgunned. She replied. The lead dreadnought fired. A warning shot, Rhea gave the order. Return fire, the Vindicator roared to life. Lasers, missiles, railguns, everything at once. The first peacekeeper ship took the hit and spun in fire. Direct hit, Tao shouted. The other 2 closed in. Rhea's voice was calm. Tactical, activate Nova Core. The crew froze. Carter spoke slowly. Ma'am, that weapon isn't even I said activate it. The Nova Core was Earth's final secret. A weapon so powerful it had never been used. It didn't destroy ships. It erased them, Tal whispered, core charging. 40 seconds, the enemy ships fired. The Vindicator shook, sparks flew, smoke filled the air. 20 seconds, main, shields down, 10 seconds. Rhea closed her eyes. Hold. The countdown hit 0. A sphere of white light exploded from the Vindicator. It didn't flash. It consumed. Everything around them peacekeeper ships, debris. Even light was pulled into nothingness. Silence followed. Then the stars returned. The bridge, lights came back on. Systems rebooted. And in the silence, they realized they had survived. Tao whispered, all enemy ships. Gone. No one spoke. Rhea finally broke the silence. Send a message to Earth Command. Secure channel. Carter nodded. Ready? Tell them the peacekeepers are compromised. The war was a lie, and the truth is coming home. 2 weeks later, Earth received the message, and it shook the foundations of the Alliance. Old treaties burned, old enemies revealed. Humanity stood on the edge of war again, but this time they would not fight for others. This time they would fight for truth, and behind the stars, the ones who thought they could use humans began to tremble, because they had forgotten one simple rule: you do not use Deathworlders as pawns, not without